everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us in this month's parent engagement workshop. We did take some time off during the summer, but we are back for this school year. This month, we have Michelle Kranz, who is the principal of La Mesa Junior High, who is going to talk to you guys about how you can help your kids thrive in this new school year. So Michelle, if you want to take it away from here.
Yes. Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Yeah, you got to give me something. You know, we're not going to be sitting and getting tonight. Thanks, Jack. Jack's the best. He came off. You got a good background there, too. You got a good background. So I'm so happy that you are all here. You know, I'm hoping that this can be a little more than just sitting and getting for you, that hopefully you're going to have something to contribute and maybe some good questions that are helpful. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I won't have the screen on the entire time, but let's see. Let's make sure you guys can see what I think you can see here. And you know what's so funny is that everybody who shares a screen, tell me if this happens. I'm going to share my screen now is what we say. Raise your hand if like you're in a meeting and I'm going to share my screen now. It's like a filler, like Anyway, we're here to talk about how to thrive in this new school year. And let's face it, guys, there has never been, nor will there ever be, a time like this in education. And certainly our students, our children are going through this and they're having a unique experience, but we are too as parents, aren't we? So let me just give you a little bit of background about who I am. I've been an educator for 23 years now here in the Santa Clarita Valley. I'm originally from New York. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. My husband and I packed up a Ryder truck 23 years ago and came out here. So I've been a teacher in the Hart District at the high school and the junior high, an assistant principal at both levels. I spent a year as a director at the district office. I miss the children. I came back and got to be a principal again. So right now I am the principal of La Mesa Junior High School. I will qualify this and to say, I'm sharing with you tonight. Yes, I work for the Hart District, but I'm not like an official spokesperson. I can't speak for Valencia High School or Golden Valley High School. So if there are questions and I can't answer them, I will do my best, but some of them I may encourage you to email the principal of that school to get some specific information about that. I have two girls of my own. I'm a mom to Natalie, who's an 11th grader. That's her on the left with the brown hair. She is my mini me. And Samantha, who is a 9th grader. That's her on the right. She is my husband's mini me. Joel and I have been married for 23 years, and he is a college professor at CSUN. I've been a Girl Scout leader for 10 years. So those of you with the elementary set, I've gotten the opportunity to interact with them in a very fun way. But probably most importantly, I call myself a student of parenting, and that's since I was born. I have been watching different parenting styles for as long as I can remember, with the hopes of being the best parent that I can be. And let me tell you, I'm still learning. Because the truth is, folks, there is no such thing as a perfect parent. It just doesn't exist. We're all doing the best we can. We've got to stop beating ourselves up, beating each other up. You know, we've heard the cliche, oh, there's no handbook, there's no, there's not. And here's the thing, you have one kid and maybe it's going pretty well. And you're like, cool, I got this parenting thing down. And then you have the second one and you're like, what is this? I actually tell my older daughter that she did not prepare me for her younger sister. So that's her fault. So do me a favor in the chat, if you could go ahead and tell me what grade your child is in. If you have a couple of kids, go ahead and share that. I want to pull off my sharing here so I can see your chat. What grade is your kids in? You got a 12th and 10th, high school, 7th. Who else? More 7th, a 7th and only child, you're a smart woman. 8th and 3rd, that's a good spread. 7th, 4th, and kindergarten, you got it all covered. All right, we got a lot of middle schools in here, high school. Oh, the boys. You're gonna have more money than me because girls are expensive. Like, who's with me on that? 1A, 7th, 11th, 8th, 7th, and 2nd. All right, so we've got a good spread of parents in here from different, are you kidding? Boys destroy your house. Girls do too. I can send my husband right now to take a picture of the hole in the wall that one of my daughters put in with her foot. So yeah, girls do it too. And here's the thing, you all boy parents, y'all think like the girls are so neat and clean. My husband has been so surprised that the girls are messy. He just assumed. He assumed that it would be nice, clean, such a cliche, but no, their rooms are awful. It's downright embarrassing. But we love them nonetheless. We love them nonetheless. So, okay, now here's what I want to know. I have an agenda. Okay, I have the things that I'm going to cover with you today, but I am hoping to also share with, talk about the things that matter to you. And so you came here today with an expectation, something you're hoping to get answered. Or maybe you're just like, I'll take anything at this point. Sometimes it feels that way. In the chat for me,
where are you?
What are your biggest concerns with regards to your child's success in school and being a parent? What are the things that you're most concerned about? So do me a favor in the chat and put those in there for me. Love to hear. What are you guys most concerned about as you think about what's going on right now with learning and their growing and their social interaction? Any big concern? Maybe you don't have big concerns. Maybe you're just like have no life and you decided to come hang out with me tonight because I don't have a life either, because here I am. You wanted to enjoy her education process. So I love that because we sometimes forget about that piece. Formative years for socializing. This summer, the third grader said, I feel like I forgot how to be a person. Forgot to be a person, how to be a friend. How to help with the things that were taught differently than when we were younger. Yeah, catching up on learning after last year. Like an education checklist, like, whoa, what do I do? Good stuff. The adjustment to junior high homework. Yeah, organizing his work and how he socializes with other kids. All right. So some of these that you're putting in here, we got. Others we're going to come back to, and we're going to have some time at the end to go. How to emotionally, physically, and academically prepare my kids for junior high. He has ADHD and struggles emotionally and socially. Social and emotional. How to keep him engaged in subjects he doesn't like. Yeah, these are some these concerns I hear as a principal all the time. So you're not alone. You are basically everything. Lacey, yes, everything. Can we just, I don't have the magic though. I got to tell you, I don't have the magic secret thing, but I got tips that will make a difference. I do have some tips that'll make a difference. All right, so let's jump into this. And some of these, do you have a translator to Spanish? Sí, in Espanol, I don't know how to say it at the bottom, where in traducio, interpretation at the bottom. If you
abajo hay un botón que dice interpretation. Hay una persona que está hablando en español durante de la presentación.
You go, Julia. Mi español es no bueno. Escuchando CDs mi carro. Español. All right, let's jump into this. So as we move here, so these are what I call the big 5 tips for a successful school year. And some of them are going to move through fast. Some of them we're going to hang on to a little bit. And some of these are going to help you kind of maybe a different set of lenses on how we approach our children. All right. The first one, I cannot do a tips for school without spending at least 45 seconds on number 1, reading. I'm telling you, friends, it is the biggest game changer for kids. And the secret is them finding what they like and reading virtually anything. Comic books, articles, even I'll tell you, when they're watching TV, have them put on the subtitles. Just reading the words that are coming across the TV is reading. And the more they read, the stronger they'll get in so many areas. For example, the more you read, the better you write. The reading skills, there's research that supports that reading can have a positive impact on math skills. And here's the thing, there is only one way to improve reading, and that's to read. Now, that's not to say that there's specific reading instruction that can help. Of course there is, but reading, read to your kids, read with your kids, read in front of your kids. If your kids can see you reading, normalize reading, especially start it when they're young. So for those of you that have the younger set, make it a priority in your house. Read, 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 read. And it doesn't have to cost anything. Books are free at the library. It's a great place for them to just get in that habit. It's harder when they get older because they start to get distracted by other things. So couldn't do this without mentioning reading. What kind of educator would I be? The next thing, the next hot tip is to limit social media. What is this TikTok thing about anyway? How many of you know what TikTok is? Go ahead and put in the chat for me. Where's my dummies guide for junior high? I love it, Ashley. That's awesome. Is this for high school? Mariana, we're going to talk about all ages. The things that I'm going to share with you tonight, they can impact all ages. Obviously, the younger we start, the better. Okay, so Lee knows what TikTok is. Who else knows what TikTok is? Oh, hate it. Jack, you know why you hate it? Because you have not found the right TikTok. There's different TikToks within TikTok, right? There's teacher TikTok. There's there's all these different TikToks that you can get into, and based on what you like and what you watch, suddenly they start feeding, the algorithm feeds you. Book TikTok, there you go, Caroline. Like, seriously, there's like AP history TikTok. Is there a parenting hack TikTok? There is parenting hack TikTok. And the best part is because of COVID, adults kind of took over TikTok. And that is one secret. If we want to ruin and get rid of social media for kids, all we have to do is join it in droves. My wasting time app. Yeah, I'm with you. I know it's yeah, but there is some good stuff on TikTok. But I'm on TikTok, okay? I actually did it during COVID. I made myself a TikTok at Principal Krantz. Feel free to follow me. It's kind of funny. At Principal Krantz. Here's a little example of one of the TikToks I did for the students. And honestly, that's what it feels like sometimes, right? You're seeing some of these videos that our kids are seeing, and it honestly just feels like it's embarrassing. It's super embarrassing to watch some of these things. So the hard part is, how do we limit social media? First step, for those of you who have kids who are not yet 13 and they're not on social media yet, hold the line. 13's the age. Hold it. We're not going to start breaking the law before 13. Anytime, but we're not going to start at 12 breaking the law. There actually is, they would have to lie about their age in order to make an account, an Instagram or a TikTok account, in order to have it. So kind of what we're doing when we give into that is we're saying, well, it's okay to lie sometimes. There's good reason to lie. And I don't know if social media is a good reason to lie. Y'all know what FOMO is? FOMO, who knows what FOMO is? Put it in the chat if you know what FOMO is, F-O-M-O. Fear of missing out, I just got. Fear of missing out is correct. And it's a real condition of our children. And that's part of what social media is. They're fearful that if they're not on it, they're going to miss out on it. And the truth is, the younger they start, the more addicted that they will be. So one of the things as a student of parenting, as I watched kids older than mine, I said, okay, social media, we're not starting it young. So my husband and I made the decision that they had to be 13 before they could have social media. Now, my older daughter, she actually did not choose to get social media until she was in 9th grade. So she kind of missed that window where she might have gotten sucked in. And then she was able to say, you know what, I kind of don't need this. It's too much drama. So that's one possibility. My younger one, she went ahead on her 13th birthday, much like Maria, and got herself an, had to have an Instagram, but she doesn't post very much. And I think partly it's because we limited it, right? We tried to wait as long as we could with phones. The first phone was a flip phone. We always made sure they knew they were our phones. So limiting that technology, especially when they're younger, is really vital. And I know we think like somehow they're safer with the phone. We get it because it's a safety thing. I want to challenge that. Who here, be honest. Someone come off mute and say, yes, it is a safety thing. Who's going to be brave? Who's going to be brave? Yeah,
I believe it's a safety thing.
Go, Lacey, Michelle, yes. And here's the thing. There are some ways in which it's a safety thing, but in a lot of ways, it's made them more unsafe. So let me ask you this question. How many of you would take a trip to New York City, and you're in New York City and you go to Times Square and you're with your spouse and you're like, you know what, honey, I'd love to see a Broadway show. And your husband's like, well, I would too, honey. I've been wanting to see that Hamilton thing. And the kids are like, Hamilton, we don't want to see anything about history. And you say, you know what? It's okay, kids. We're in the Big Apple. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to catch the 8 o'clock show. You kids run along. You have some fun in Times Square, all sorts of fun things for you to see and experience. And me and your dad, we're going to go check out Hamilton. We'll meet back here about 10:30 p.m. Tell me who'd do that. No, of course you wouldn't. We're not idiots. But here's the thing, and I'm guilty of it too. My kids have the iPhone. We have essentially stuck them in the middle of Times Square with access to everything that exists in Times Square. People can access them. They can access pornography. They can access, there is lots of human trafficking that started with access to children online on the phone. And so the truth is, while we think they're safer because they can phone us as they're walking home from school, in a lot of ways, they're more unsafe. And it's another reason why we want to remember that technology is very scary. We've given them access to the World Wide Web. In some ways, we've made them more, it'd be safer for us to drop them in Times Square and say, we'll meet up with you in a couple of hours. But we all know this, right? Here's what technology does. It is zapping them of everything, okay? It really is. Sorry, we don't see that again. I put up some statistics here from a source called Away for the Day. So there's some research that was done, and you can go to that website if you're interested in looking that up. But their access to technology is causing them to lose sleep. They are up at all hours, even if they're looking at even if they're on book TikTok, right? They are having access to technology is killing them with their lack of sleep. It is messing with their self-esteem. They are so obsessed with who likes who and how many likes they got on their post, and they're looking at pictures of things that they didn't get invited to, and there's a lot of bullying on social media, and the bullying is very subtle. But one of the things that they do is they'll put a picture up and they won't tag their friend. And it's an exclusionary social bullying that's done. We feel like, oh, well, when they're on social media, they're connecting. And I know for some, it felt like their lifeline through COVID and through the lockdowns. But you look back there in 2015, 31% of the 8th graders were feeling more lonely than they were in 2011. And we all know that access to technology and social media has steadily risen over the past few years. There's another one over the second one, 56% of 8th graders who use social media frequently report feeling unhappy, compared to 20% of 12th graders who use it just as often. So there is an age factor here, a maturity factor in how they are using it. And then you see that other one, teens who spend more time in person with friends than those who don't are 20% more likely to report being happy. So limiting that technology is healthy. Having time at the dinner table where it's away. Kids are using it to cheat. So they're, we talk about their success in school, they're FaceTiming and they're exchanging answers through all of this. So start slow, make your child part of it. The kids today, they're aware of the addiction. So at La Mesa, for example, we have a no personal device policy. So they can have the phone in their backpack off. And you would think like kids would be rebelling. And yeah, there are kids that try to sneak it. But you know what I see when I'm out at brunch and lunch? Kids interacting, kids being kids. Kids are more focused in class because it's not buzzing in their pocket all day. So that is number 2 of the big 5 tips that you should consider. Thank you for your cell policy. We are at La Mesa. Yes, Miss Gunter, one of my people. Why does it seem like technology is so necessary for school now? It gets hard to monitor everything, even with parental controls in place. Oh, 100%. Part of that is because we do live in a technological world, right? That is part of, we do need to have some bit of training for kids on how to use it. I will say that because of the lockdown and distance learning, students were navigating Zoom like CEOs and executives of Fortune 500 companies. I mean, they email now, like they didn't email before. Now they're like all over the email. The emails I get from students, I love it, So there's technology is not evil, right? It's the lack of monitoring, which I know can happen when kids are doing their homework at home on technology. So you are right. 100% with you. Does Sierra Vista have this policy? No, I don't believe so. Rancho Pico just adopted it this year. Unfortunately, because of the lockdown in March of 2020, we were hoping to see some wonderful data that would support the other schools moving. We were kind of the pilot doing it. So I would imagine potentially as we see some data come in, and I know the data is going to be good because we went from having cell phone issues and bullying and harassment and 6 times a day to basically no cell phone related issues. So I think that it may happen, but I'm not speaking for other schools. That's up to them. All right, so number 3. Let's head on into number 3 here. Being present. Life is busy, and I even find myself like, here I am, it's 6:25 at night and I still haven't been home to see my kids. So it's not about the amount of time that you're home because we got to work, right? It's living in Santa Clarita. I don't know. I'm really envious of people that can pull it off with one income, but being present is also about when you're there, the quality of time. And it kind of goes back to even what are we doing? Are we on our phones when we should be with our kids? The dinner table, are we with them? Are we really listening to them? We're really good at multitasking, aren't we? Who sees themselves as I'm a good multitasker? Who's a good multitasker? Put it in the chat. Say, I'm a good multitasker. Own it. Come off. There you go. Michelle's a good multitasker. Who are our good multitaskers? Here's the thing. We might. And guilty as charged. Okay. Guilty as charged. My daughter Samantha, I'll be, doing an email in the evening, and Samantha starts telling me a story about what's going on in school, and she'll say, "You're not listening to me." And I'll say, "Yeah, I am. I'm totally listening to you." And I'm able to tell her back 100% what she just said. But what does she feel like? And if I keep doing that, is she going to eventually stop coming to me? She's a 9th grader now. Like, if I don't fix that, what's going to happen when she's 16? And if we're not there for them when they're 5, are they going to come to us when they're 15? And that's kind of the thing to remember that we have to really focus on, being present. And it's hard because how many of us have jobs that don't end at 5 o'clock, right? We've got responsibilities. Yeah, Carolina, you understand. But putting that phone down and just, even if we say 20 minutes, you got me 100%. Let's at the dinner table or as they're going to sleep, being present is huge. And it will affect how they do in school, because that presence translates for a teenager or a child into us caring about them. And we all know we care about them when we're on our phones. I care about my children when I'm on my phone, but do they feel like I care about them is what I have to ask myself. So Jack says, no one can do two things at the same time, at least not well. Ding, ding, ding. That last part is probably, I appreciate that comment, at least not well. And I don't know about you, but I want to be the best parent I can be, because I am my husband and I are the most integral people in our child's success. Don't you forget that, parents. It's a lot of pressure. So if I can give them my attention, even if it's a quality time, not necessarily quantity time, it will make a difference. And if now's not a good time, you say, hey, give me 5 minutes, let me finish this, and I'm coming back to you. And then you'll know what's going on in their life. So, all right, let's hit the next one. This one is a big one. Empowerment. I'm going to tell you a story, and I tell it with my daughter's permission. Okay, this is a story about Natalie. So when Natalie was in kindergarten, or I think it was first grade, actually, she was in first grade. She went to Pico Canyon Elementary, and she was in the after school care there for Sunshine. And I was the principal at the time at Rancho Pico, and that's what Pico Canyon fed into it. So it was winter break, and I went to pick her up at the end of the day. And as I walk in, the counselors all are kind of looking concerned as they see me. And now, if you know anything about Sunshine, they all go by these nicknames. So Chapstick and Melon, and one guy was even Shooter. He changed that because that was like, hey, Shooter. Again, not a good thing for being on a school campus. So, but they have these nicknames. So they're all looking at me, and I walk in. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? And I look over at Natalie, and Natalie's like a little first grade face. I'm like, uh-oh, this is bad. And Chapstick comes over to me. She goes, Michelle, we got to talk. I'm like, what happened? Natalie carved her name in about 18-inch letters into the lunch table. Okay, a couple things are going through my brain right now. I know how much those tables cost. They're like $1,200, $1,500. Second, I'm the principal of the school this feeds into. What are people going to think? Because, isn't that a little bit about our reaction when our kids do something? Yeah, it's about what they did, but isn't it a little bit about us? Like, either what are people going to think, or, oh no, clearly I'm a terrible parent because my kid messed up. Because we all know when they do well, what do? Bruce, what do we do when our kids do well? We're feeling the pride, aren't we? When your kid comes home with an A, you're like, yeah. And we're proud of them, but we are also proud of us because we know they got our DNA, right? But it's the same thing when they mess up. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, I got this. Mrs. Banda, the principal at the time, I saw her car in the driveway. We got this. So we go outside, and I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. The sixth graders, I saw them doing it. I didn't know they didn't press hard. And I'm like, it's okay. Okay. Hey, but here's the thing, kiddo. There are consequences when we make mistakes. And I see Mrs. Banda's car over there. What do you think we should do? I can't do that. I can't do that. We have to tell her. We have to find out what the consequence is going to be. And Natalie, I got to tell you, if this was my school, you'd be arrested for vandalism, because I'll tell you guys, I do go too far sometimes as a parent, because, so she's like, I'm like, no, you're not getting arrested. You're not getting arrested. So we walk over, we bang on the door, Mrs. Banda, who comes over, and I call her Mrs. Banda. I mean, she's the principal. And we go in, and she welcomes us in, and we sit down. I sit on my hands, and Natalie goes, well, what happened? And Natalie starts, I wrote and what do I want to do as a parent? Michelle, what do I want to do? I want to jump in, right? Absolutely. I want to jump in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, she didn't mean it. She's only in first grade. She saw the sixth graders do it. What? We want to jump in, but I resisted. She gets through it. We walk out to the table. People, it was a coat of paint. Someone was shining down on me. She had like a week in the library. But here's where it gets interesting. That night, I'm laying next to her in bed, and we're talking. And I said, because I'm thinking, did I go too far again? Natalie, are you mad at me that I didn't talk for you? And she said, no. And I'm a little surprised. And I asked her why. And she said something to me that rocked my parenting world. She said, because you knew I could. Think about that for a second, because you knew I could. So what would she have thought if I talked for her? She might have heard the unintended message, I don't think you can. You know, I think sometimes our generation is up in arms because we think that the self-esteem issue is because every kid is getting trophies. And I give more credit to our kids. I think they know their participation trophies. I don't think they're going, oh, I'm the great. No. I think that the self-esteem suffers because we do things for our kids out of love that they can absolutely do for themselves. And the power of empowerment, that's where confidence comes from. That's where self-esteem comes from. And so when our kids come home and they say, oh my gosh, my teacher did this or another student did that, we have all the answers because we've lived life and we jump in and we've all done it. You know what you need to do? You need to, or I'm going to call that teacher. I'm going to fire off an email to that teacher. And here's the thing, it's probably going to be a really good email. And we're probably going to say all the right things when we call that teacher. But you know what? What are they going to do when they get to high school? What are they going to do when they get to college and they haven't developed those skills? And so I personally got in my habit of saying, when my kids come home with a problem since they were very little, Mommy, this person was mean to me, or this teacher, wow, that is terrible. What are you going to do about that? What's your plan? And so it's one of these, as we hear ourselves speaking to our children and we're talking to them, we really need to be asking more questions and making less statements, helping and coaching them to the answers that we know are within them because we've raised them and we've been an example to them, and we've got to trust that. So if we want our kids to be successful, we have to start empowering them. My husband, who teaches college, he has kids who in college can't advocate for themselves. I think he even had a parent call him asking for information, and they're not even allowed to talk to you as a parent. We have to equip them. And when they're small, when they're really small, they can order for themselves. They can talk to their teachers. So I encourage you to empower your children, and it will start to make a difference. And at first, they're not going to be good at it. They're like, I don't know. Well, think about it, and let's come back together and figure out what you can brainstorm what you can do. But I want you to come up with ideas because you can. You're capable. All right, and the last hot tip before we get into some of the things you all brought up. They're watching us, people. And I'm not talking about the government through the vaccines and the little nanobots that are going in our skin. Our children are watching us. They're watching every single thing we do and every single thing that we say. They are watching us. So back in the day when soup plantation was the place to go, and remember, like, it was less money when they were 12 and under. Oh, it was a deal. When they were really young, it was really a deal. I'll never forget being behind a guy and his daughter. And the woman asked, how old is she? And he says, she's 3. And the little kid goes, I'm not 3, I'm 4. I'm 4. He goes, no, you're not, you're 3. No, I just turned 4, Daddy, remember? No, you're 3. No, I'm 4. Yeah, he was going to save like $3 or $4, and I know that can add up. But here's the thing. Then we're surprised when our kids lie to us. We're surprised when they're not truthful, or it's because they're watching us. Now let's talk about this in the context of school. How many times have we had our kids come home complaining about a teacher? Raise your hand. Come on. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? They come home and they're talking about this teacher. And you know what we do? And we've all done it. I've done it. What? Your teacher said what? That is ridiculous. What kind of teacher is that anyway? Oh my gosh. And sometimes when we connect with the teacher, we kind of find out, oh, that's what happened. Because you know the phenomena. We've all experienced it as a parent. When your kid says, stop yelling at me. And you're like, Yelling? You think that's yelling? Oh, do you want to see yelling? Because I can show you yelling. Who's been there? But through their little 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade little lens, they hear us yelling. But the reality is we're not. Do you think that sometimes happens with teachers? Do you think sometimes kids, because they're kind of self-centered, it's kind of the frontal lobe thing not developed. Do you think sometimes when they say the teacher is picking on me, that perhaps the teacher's actually doing their job and calling them on what's going on and wants them to be a better human and student? I'm not going to say for a second that a teacher never picks on a kid, because of course I'm sure somewhere in America that's happening right now. Well, maybe not right now. It's 27. But the truth is, yeah. But let me tell you this, there's no upside. If I'm going to pick on a kid, you know what's going to happen? You're going to call me. And I don't have time for your phone call because I have 1,000 kids out there. But when I say to my kid when they come home, oh my gosh, that teacher, that's just unacceptable. How does that kid go back to school and build that relationship that they need to have to be successful? If we're not talking positively about school, and I'm not saying we have to lie or say schools are wonderful when they're not, but it does change things. When we're talking about the school and all the stupid people there, the stupid teacher, the stupid administrators, the stupid front office lady, and that's what our kids hearing. Let's face it, who were your favorite teachers in school? Think about it for a second. Put it in the chat. Think back to when you were in school. Your favorite teachers, who were they? Someone put it in the chat for me. What made someone your favorite teacher? Michelle's typing away. Who were your favorite teachers? Oh, someone even put names in. I love it. Club advisors, the ones that showed caring and concern, someone who understood kids and people. They taught people, not content. Would you agree that it was the teachers with whom we had great relationships with? And we tended to succeed with those teachers? Mrs. Good. Is that Mrs. Good at La Mesa? Or a different Mrs. Good? We have a Mrs. Good here, and she is Mrs. Great as far as I'm concerned. It's the teachers with whom we had the best relationships with. And here's the thing, guys, a relationship is a two-way street. We cannot expect our teachers to be solely responsible for building relationships with our kids, and they're working hard to do it. Our kids have to own some of that. And if they don't say hello, if they don't make some eye contact, if they're never turning in their homework, if they're walking in late and disrupting the class, it's going to be hard to build a relationship, right? But if we're home talking bad about the school, no matter how justified we feel, we are putting up a barrier that that kid cannot get past. We got to be the bridge between, as parents, we've got to bridge our kids, because school's hard enough, right? And here's the thing, how are we looking at school? If we're not in the classroom, we are looking at school through the lens of our 3rd grade self, our 7th grade self, our 9th grade self. And what do we remember? We remember how we felt. We don't remember, I don't know, can anybody here actually name all of the capitals and states in alphabetical order? I don't think so. I taught history. I don't even think I can do that. But we're looking through that lens, and now we're trying to make sense of that as an adult, right? When we're hearing our kid through that lens, we got to be partners, right? I mean, it's got to be. So as parents, you want your kid to be successful in school? Talk positively about school. Fight for the changes that you need to make. Be involved. But we can do that and be positive. We can coach our children up and empower them, right? To say, well, you need to talk to your teacher about that. Well, I don't want to talk to her. She hates me. All right, well, you try it. If she says I hate you, then I'll come in and deal with it. Why don't you start with an email? Write the email, copy me on it so they know I'm aware. And let's start writing it and I'll coach you on it. You do the first draft. You didn't spell that right. You might want to change that. You know, you can coach them up, but don't write it for them. and we start to see the relationship change. Because we control our own attitudes, right? And so do our kids. So if they're going to school feeling empowered, I don't want to get into this, but let's take masks, for example, right? Nobody really wants anyone to wear masks, but we don't have a choice. So if we're talking about, oh, the stupid schools and the stupid masks, what kid goes to school and they have to wear a mask, like, what are they going to do? Mom and dad are saying no, and the school's saying yes. It's a hard place to be in at 12, at 7, at 15. So we got to work together and speak positively. All right. I want to hear from you. Let's go back to some of those things. What are some of the things I can help you with? Just from I have a unique perspective. I'm a mom and I'm an educator. So I get this front row seat to this thing that you're trying to navigate from the back row. So hit me up with a question. What can we talk about right now? How can we make you walk away tonight to feel empowered as a parent? Because we need to empower ourselves as well. Hit me in the chat or come on off of mute and I'll take your question. Anybody? Did I just solve all of your problems? Lists of resources available. Great question, Vanessa. I encourage you to check out the websites of the schools. So let me just share my screen here with you for a second. Let me get rid of this. There are so many resources. I'm going to show you the one I know best. And you know what? Go on all of the websites. You don't have to just go onto your own school's website. So here's La Mesa, for example, and you want to know what resources? Right over here on ours, we've got a counseling tab, and most schools have this, okay? If I go down here to Counseling Home and I start to scroll through, there are so many resources just in here. Check this out. Student and parent tutorials for all of these things that your kids are using. So you can direct, if your kid goes, my teacher wants me to do such and such, and I don't know how. Here it is. They want to add a video to a slide. You click on here. It's going to take you. Check it out. Here's a tutorial. Here's how you add a video to a slide. So resources, check them out. They're everywhere. What else do my counselors have on here? Google Classroom tutorial. We even put it on there in Spanish. How to create a Gmail account. Study skills. Social distancing virtual tours. So there you can go to the zoo without getting COVID. It's a beautiful thing. This is ours, How to Howl Online, but you know, all the different schools have various resources. You can go to the Heart District website, okay? If you go here down to community, let's see. We've got, I'm sure there's things in here for community links. Come in here, look at all these things. All of these City of Santa Clarita resources, how to get to the sheriff's website. California, CalArts, College of the Canyons, these are schools within the Santa Clarita Valley. Wish Foundation, juvenile laws, it's in Spanish, community resource guide. We click on this, look what we get here. All of these great resources. If your kid is struggling with drugs, if your kid is struggling, there's alcoholism in the family, there's family groups, mental health lines, disability. If you have a child who has a disability, you can get information right there about it. So great question, Vanessa. Really, resources are everywhere for you. Signs that they may be starting to hang out with bad influences, what to do. All right. Number one, when they start to close down to you, it's a red flag. It doesn't mean it's bad, but you want to look. If you're asking your kids, like, who you hanging out with? And they say, Joe. Well, Joe who? I don't know his last name. Well, you might want to find that out if you're hanging out with them. So knowing who their friends are. If they're going to go hang out with friends, you drive them. You drive the friends. You go see. You invite them to your house. Meet the parents. Ask when you meet the kids, say, hey, what's your mom's cell phone number? Any kid worth their salt is going to give you that cell phone number. I'd say red flag if they're not. But have the kids over to your house, have some snacks, be the house that kids hang out with. Grades is another indicator. Now, COVID's a little different because I know a lot of our kids went from A's to C's and D's. And there may be mental health stuff you want to look at, but grades are a sign. I will tell you, when I look at a kid, when I bring a kid in here and we're worried about maybe they're doing drugs, I go to their grades. And if I look back at their grades and I see, gosh, in 7th grade, A's and B's, and in 8th grade, D's, F's, tardy to class all the time, I'm not saying they're doing drugs, but I'd say 50% of the time they are. Marijuana is usually where they start, and it just cuts them down, like the motivation leaves. So grades are a great thing to do. So what do? I know sometimes we're afraid, like, I don't want to call the school and tell them I think my kid is doing drugs, because then what are they going to think of my kid? We're going to think your kid needs help, and we're going to help you. We're not judging you. Folks, there's no such thing as a perfect parent. But if you do nothing, I judge that. We have a responsibility to reach out and do whatever we need to do. But a parent who calls me and says, hey, Michelle, I'm really worried. My kid's grades, I think they might be using drugs. What do I do? We're going to wrap our arms around that parent and that child. We're going to hook them up with resources to do drug testing. We're going to take a look at who they're hanging out with. We can do all sorts of things. We're going to hook you up with resources, education. So what do you do if you think that that's happening? You need to reach out to the school. We are your partners in your children. I'm going to tell you right now, I have reached out to my child's school. I'm supposed to have the answers. I'm a principal. But our schools, each school is different. We have to reach out and not be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Good kids do bad things. Good kids from good families do bad things. They make mistakes. Again, frontal lobe not developed, right? All right. So I have my password to my child's Instagram. Well, what else do I need to do to protect her? Well, that's a great first step. Now, next month, the city is doing another program on social media. I happen to be on the panel. My oldest daughter is on the panel. I encourage you to come to that. But let me tell you, that is the first step. And understanding what social media is out there. One of the reasons, besides connecting with my students who are on social media, I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat, because I want to know how to use them so that I can know what my kids are doing and how they can hide. So having that password, huge. But here's the thing, guys, they have dummy accounts. They have the account that you have the password to, and they have another account. I'll show you a secret. Here's a secret. One way, there's some of them are smart about this. Hopefully you can see. There's my phone, right? Down here on the bottom, where am I? Whoop. If I click on this, if I click on that, all the ones on my phone show up. Now you can see I have my daughter's, I have my school one, I have my personal one. If you go to your child's phone and you click on the lower right-hand corner, you will see if they're not smart enough to log out of them each time, which they won't. You can see what other accounts they got going on. And you click on it, it's probably signed into, and you will see a whole new world. And it might be a world you don't like. It might be. Knowledge is power.
This was so great and informative. And, I must be honest, Kyle, my 7th grader has been sitting here listening to all of it, and he's just been perked up. And you know what? I keep looking over, and you know what? It's been so great for him too. I don't know if any other kids are listening in, but it's been amazing. And thank you so much.
Kyle, is there anything I'm saying that's not true? Kyle,
I don't know. Well,
am I making it up?
Say no. Is he making it up?
No.
Look at
no. Yes, your kids don't like when I do these sessions because I tell all their secrets.
He's our only child, and he's great, and Rio Norte, but it's been amazing. So thank you.
I love it.
Great.
All right, let's see. If they've recently changed groups. Yeah, that's a good one, Lacey. If suddenly the friends that they've had forever, they're not hanging out with anymore, that is a great sign that something's red flag. We call it, it's a red flag. That's a TikTok thing. All right. Do we overwhelm our kids giving very early access to phones? What is the right age to hand a phone over to them? The answer to your first question is yeah, because they don't have the responsibility, maturity to really handle the big responsibility it is to have a full computer in their hand. So here's what I recommend, what we did with our kids, and it worked out really well in terms of raising responsible kids. And they're not perfect, trust me. Trust me. We bought the first phone we bought, they shared. They're only 18 months apart, so it's easy. And it was back when you can get a flip phone. And we only gave that to them when they were going to a sleepover, when there was a reason that they would not, because when they're in elementary school up through 6th grade, they're pretty supervised most of the time. So they got the phone when they went to a sleepover, because there are some homes that don't have a landline. And I think that is when it's a safety issue, right? But it was a flip phone. It didn't let them go on the internet. They could text. And there are phones that do that, right? So I would say the first thing is, and then they kind of earn it, right? So then the first thing they got to try doing text with friends was the iTouch. So they had to be connected to Wi-Fi in order to do it. So pretty much only at home. And they learned how to text. And we always said, hey, if the FBI can see it, we can see it. And that's the truth. Because if your child does something, if they send a nude picture of themselves, they can be arrested for child distribution of child pornography. And if they receive that naked picture of a child, they can be in possession of child pornography. And yes, if the sheriffs and FBI can see that, I better be able to see that. There is no expectation of privacy on the phone. At any time, I can say, give me your phone, we're doing a phone check. And what we would do is we would look through the text messages and we would celebrate, like, oh my gosh, I love the way you're being so nice to your friend. This is awesome. And when they were not, I'm like, you know what? And my kids make fun of me now. Are you representing our family correctly? They totally make fun of me as high school kids. But in junior high, it was like, is this how you really want to represent yourself? Like, what would somebody think if they saw this? Because I know what I'm thinking. What do you think someone would think? What if this got out? Like, would you be embarrassed that somebody saw this? You should be. So having those conversations and that people say, but I want to trust my child. You can trust your child. Do you trust the other people that they're interacting with? Do you trust that other people are being kind? So when they would get stuff from other people that wasn't nice, I'd say, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to respond? Should you respond? Should you block this person? Is this a friend you want to have? And it just opens up the conversation. So I think the age is going to depend on the child, but it should be a gradual release of responsibility based on their maturity, in my opinion. And yeah, there are times when we do want to give kids that release of of responsibility, empowering them to make good choices and make some mistakes, right? We got to give them room to make some mistakes.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right, my friends. Well, it is a couple minutes of 7. I know that my friend Julia from DFYinSCV wants to share with you what's going to happen. I'm going to put here, if you want to follow me on TikTok and laugh a little bit, it's all appropriate. It's not political. I don't go there. You go to TikTok, Principal Krantz. You might giggle a little. I might start doing a parenting. Since there's parenting hacks, I think I'm going to start a parenting thing because I want to be on parenting hacks, TikTok. That sounds fun. And I want to watch it because then I'm going to steal all the ideas and learn. Thank you for being part of this tonight. Thank you for being partners with all of us in education, partners with us as fellow parents. It's a tough job. It's the hardest job in the world. But love your kids unconditionally. Know they're going to make mistakes. And most of all, please forgive yourselves. Please be kind and give yourself grace. We can't be perfect. We can't. We just apologize when we make a mistake. So thanks for having me. I had so much fun with all of you tonight. So, woohoo!